Ladies and gentlemen, if you feel stuck in the same place, repeating the same mistakes, it's not because you lack talent, it's because you're trapped in patterns that hold you back. Every day you wake up thinking the same thoughts, taking the same actions, and wondering why nothing changes. But the moment you force yourself to break those patterns, everything shifts. Your habits, your confidence, and your future. This isn't just about trying harder. It's about changing the cycle that's quietly controlling your life. The breakthrough you've been waiting for starts the instant you decide to break free and take control. You're not stuck because you lack talent. You're stuck because you keep repeating the same patterns. Each day, you wake up with familiar thoughts, follow the same routines, feel the same doubts, and then wonder why nothing changes. The moment you push yourself to break these patterns, everything begins to shift. Your habits, your confidence, and your future. But if you don't, you remain caught in a life that never truly starts. This is your chance to break free. In the next few moments, you'll learn how to break the cycle that's quietly been holding your future captive. First, understand this. You're living inside loops you didn't choose. You wake up, drink the same coffee, voice the same complaints, and relive the same day over and over. The pattern you're following didn't come from your vision, it came from convenience, from survival, not from your greatness. And the longer you stay in that cycle, the more your potential begins to shrink. There's timeless wisdom that says, do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That's not just a suggestion, it's a powerful instruction. The world keeps you stuck in cycles. Growth calls you toward transformation. Patterns hold power because they're subtle. No warning sounds when you slip into routine. That's where the danger lies. Life becomes predictable. Predictability feels comfortable. And that comfort quietly becomes a cage. It's the kind of failure that looks like normal life. The first step to breaking free is awareness. You have to recognize the hidden routines that shape your outcomes. Write them down, examine them, replace them one by one with habits that point toward your vision, not repetition. History shows us how patterns can be changed. A leader who faced failure in business, lost elections, and suffered deep setbacks didn't let those patterns define him. He studied, practiced, and reshaped his habits, and in doing so, changed the course of a nation. The patterns you tolerate set the boundaries of your life. The ones you accept shape your loyalty. And when you give loyalty to a pattern, it begins to form your identity. It influences your conversations, controls your habits, and even reshapes your beliefs. There's an unprecedented opportunity offered to you to shape your life and to become the kind of leader you want to be, until it's too late and its unforeseen fateness reshapes your belief. It stops being something you do and starts becoming who you are. The mind, that extraordinary tool, settles into these grooves like wheels on a worn path. Soon you're no longer steering your life. The path steers you, and you quietly accept it as normal. An ancient proverb reminds us, as a person thinks in their heart, so they are. It doesn't say as they hope or as they wish. It says as they think. Your thought patterns are not neutral. They are builders. They shape your choices, color your view of the world, and determine how far you grow. When you feed your mind with fear, limitation, or victimhood, your outer life will eventually reflect that inner design. Many believe they are free, but what is freedom? Freedom isn't just the absence of chains. Freedom is the ability to choose. If you don't challenge your patterns on purpose, your freedom is an illusion, a mirage seen by someone who never leaves the desert. What we often call personality is nothing more than a routine practiced so often it feels natural. The most limiting phrase you can ever say is, "This is just how I am." That phrase, "This is just how I am," has bound more people than any chain ever could. The moment you accept it, you give up your power to change. You hand over your authority. You surrender control over yourself. The reality is this: nothing traps a person more tightly than believing they cannot change. To rise above, you must challenge comfort. You can't just act. You must act with purpose. Purpose disrupts patterns. It creates resistance where there used to be ease. And it's in that resistance where real transformation begins. When you wake earlier than what feels comfortable, You're not just changing your schedule, you're declaring battle against your own inertia. When you choose reading over gossip or creation over complaining, you are breaking the silent agreements that used to guide your day. This isn't a call for overnight reinvention. It's a call for disruption, a challenge to bring friction where you once moved on autopilot. Growth isn't born in ease, it's forged under pressure. The mind, like a wild horse, must be trained, or it will always follow its impulses. One great thinker saw that his life lacked structure. Instead of excusing the chaos, he took action. He built a system, virtues to live by, a journal to reflect, and a daily routine. He made himself the subject of his own experiment, and through discipline, became one of the most influential minds of his time. He didn't wait for change, he created it. What he refused to accept no longer held him. That's a law of life. What you allow will stay. What you confront begins to weaken. If you study anyone who's achieved greatness, you'll see a moment where they said no to the default. They broke their rhythm. They traded comfort for effort, ease for awareness. And in doing so, they shattered the cycle. Your mind will resist at first. It will long for what's familiar. It will try to lure you back into doing nothing. But that voice isn't your friend. It's the echo of the old pattern, fighting to keep you small. You must respond with new commands. Speak discipline, speak vision, speak identity, not as you are now, but as who you're becoming. Because in the end, your life is shaped not by what happens to you, but by what you repeatedly choose. And whatever you choose to believe, you now have power to create what you wish and claim your life away from the bullshit and the bullshit that only exists. And the power to choose, that's what sets you free. Not someday, not when life aligns perfectly, but now, in your next breath, in your next choice. The patterns you disrupt today will shape the person you become tomorrow. And soon, your life will reflect that invisible decision to change. True change begins the moment you decide you've had enough. Deep inside, there's a silent cry in every soul tired of being tired. It doesn't scream, but it weighs heavy. It presses on you at night and greets you in the morning. That cry signals potential unfulfilled, greatness delayed. It whispers, you were made for more. You feel it when your days blur, when dreams shrink to checklists, when the face in the mirror feels unfamiliar. This isn't just weariness, it's the pain of stagnation. And remember, change doesn't start with a plan. It starts with frustration when staying the same finally costs more than the fear of change. There's wisdom that reminds us to everything there is a season, a time for every purpose. There is a season, an expected benefit. Seasons don't wait until it's convenient. They come when they're needed. And so does transformation. Not when life feels easy, but when you decide, I can't do this anymore. The real danger isn't failure. It's comfort in the wrong place. People stay in jobs they dislike, stuck in routines that drain them, or in relationships that stifle their joy. Not out of choice, but out of habit. Habit becomes a hypnotist. And many are sleepwalking through a life they never chose, but everything shifts the moment you decide no more. That decision, quiet though it may be, unleashes strength. It doesn't remove the challenge, but it lifts your spirit above it. Suddenly, the mountain that seems so high looks smaller because you've changed, and when you change, the world adjusts in response. You don't need a perfect plan to begin. Start small. Clean one neglected space. Wake an hour earlier. These simple steps may seem small, but small steps can trigger great change. Movement creates momentum, and momentum fuels the soul. One courageous woman was born into slavery, defined by a world that saw her as property. Yet amid chains and hardship, she chose differently. She ran not once, but again and again. She risked everything to help others find freedom. Every journey she made was fueled by a decision that declared, I will not let this be my end. It began with the choice to seek it. Her legacy wasn't shaped by comfort. It was born from exhaustion, that turned into determination. That same seed of strength lives within you, not a longing to escape, but the courage to start again. Your life doesn't have to be a slow surrender. It can become a personal revolution, but that revolution starts inside. Not tomorrow, not when it feels easier, but in the very tension you feel now. That longing, that unease, that quiet sadness. They are not your enemies. They are the soul's alarm clock trying to awaken you. And it's time to answer. Answer with action, with bravery, with the quiet resolve that says, I will not stay in this place. Because everything begins to change the moment you do. The first domino falls when you decide enough. And from that choice, the soul starts its return to purpose. If you don't break the cycle, it will take over your future. What you do every day matters far more than what you do once in a while. It's not a single spark that shapes your path, but the steady daily flame. Repetition isn't dull. It shapes who you are. It forms your instincts, your beliefs, and ultimately your future. Every action you repeat is a vote for the person you are becoming. We're reminded of an unshakable truth. Don't be deceived. Whatever a person plants, that is what they will harvest. This isn't just about generosity or fairness. It's a law that governs our habits. What you plant in your daily life, whether it's discipline or neglect, order or chaos, will grow. You may not see results right away, but they are taking root. If your daily pattern is disordered, don't expect peace to grow. If you constantly delay, excellence will not be your reward. You can't plant thorns and hope for roses. And yet many feel frustrated not because life is unfair, but because they are harvesting what they unknowingly planted. The future isn't built in dramatic moments, it's built in small, often unseen, daily action. Discipline, not drama, earns life's rewards. Persistence matters more than performance, but lasting change demands disruption. You can't just wish for a better life, you have to build it. And building requires a shift. Not a complete overhaul, but an interruption that wakes you from autopilot. Place reminders of your goals where distractions usually win. Adjust your surroundings so they support, not sabotage, your growth. The mind responds to signals. Change the signal and you change the habit. If your environment encourages laziness, it will keep you stuck. But if it promotes clarity and purpose, you'll rise to match it. A boy, once dismissed as slow by his teachers, could have accepted that label, but his mother chose differently. She created a new pattern at home, one of deep thought and constant effort. She planted belief in him, and through daily action, he nourished it. The result, not a handful, but over 1,000 inventions. The light we depend on today came from his steady persistence. That discovery wasn't luck. It was the fruit of effort, of showing up again and again, even when failure came knocking. That same power is within your reach, not in some far-off future, but in what you do daily. Don't wait for everything to be perfect. Start now. Start where you are. Use what you have, because what you do consistently will shape what you experience in time. Your daily choices are planting seeds, and the harvest always comes. Choose carefully, because destiny isn't a place you reach, it's the path you walk. And that path is shaped by your repeated steps. So step forward, step with intention, and step every day. The future is paying attention. You can't create a new life with an old mindset. Changing your surroundings without changing your thinking is just moving scenery. You can relocate, switch jobs, or surround yourself with new faces. But if your beliefs stay the same, so will the patterns. Your mindset follows you everywhere, like a shadow. It's not the place that fuels growth. It's the belief system you build within. We're given a powerful image. No one pours new wine into old bottles. Instead, they use new containers, so both are preserved. The same is true for you. To hold something new, you must become new within. The message is clear. You cannot pour a new reality into an old identity. The container must fit the contents, or both will be lost. And that container is your mind. Many desire transformation, yet few are willing to challenge the assumptions they hold. They try to build a new life on an outdated mindset and wonder why the foundation cracks. But if the blueprint you build from is flawed, no surface change will last. Who told you success isn't for people like you? Who convinced you that discipline belongs only to others? These aren't harmless beliefs. They are deeply ingrained lines etched into your thinking, and as long as they remain, they will shape every decision you make. To live differently, you must think differently, not once, but every day. Become an architect of belief, tearing down the faulty walls of limitation and rebuilding with bricks of truth and possibility. This transformation starts with language. Speak about yourself not as a prisoner of your past, but as a pioneer of your future. Your words form the scaffolding for the next level of your life. Then turn to structure. Redesign your day to reflect where you want to go, not where you've been. Align your habits with the horizon you envision. Wake with purpose. Journal your new vision. Study what builds the person you aim to become. Create rituals that reinforce your new identity, not the one you're leaving behind. One leader, born into slavery, inherited nothing but chains and silence. Yet he refused to accept the blueprint of his birth. He chose education. He chose resilience. Brick by brick, mentally and physically, he laid the foundation for an institution that changed generations. He became a leader not because the world made space for him, but because he made space within himself for the future he desired. He didn't stumble into leadership by chance or luck. He built it by design. He reshaped his mind to hold a vision of possibility, then lived into it. He understood this principle. New results require new architecture. So if the life you want feels distant, don't abandon the dream. Change the blueprint you're using, re-examine the beliefs you've normalized, replace inherited limits with intentional affirmations, upgrade your inner operating system to match the life you want. The future isn't blocked by outside obstacles, it's delayed by internal blueprints. Begin demolition, clear mental clutter, design with conviction. Remember, transformation doesn't start with a plane ticket or resignation letter. It begins the moment you say, my mind must grow first. When your mind expands, the world follows. When the container changes, it can finally hold the blessing it was meant to carry. Excuses are the language of patterns. Every time you say, I can't, you're not simply stating a fact, you're adding another brick to the wall that holds you back. It's a subtle but dangerous phrase because what follows, I can't, is rarely truth. It's an excuse dressed up as logic. Polished, respectable, but false. Excuses are clever. They wear the mask of reason and the clothes of logic. I can't afford it. I don't have time. It's just not who I am. These phrases feel safe. They shield us from discomfort. But don't be mistaken. They're not guards. They're cages. There's a sharp reminder that the invisible things of God's creation are clearly seen. So we are without excuse. If creation itself obeys its design, then so must we. The stars follow their paths. Seasons bring fruit on time. Everything made fulfills its purpose. So why not you? Excuses don't stem from a lack of ability. They come from fear, which disguises itself in many forms. Sometimes it pretends to be wisdom. Other times it acts like humility. But at its core, fear convinces you that staying the same is safer than becoming who you could be. Excuses become the vocabulary of limitation. They stall your decisions, drain your confidence, and dim the vision planted within you. They build a prison out of your potential. But you hold the power to change your language. Replace I can't with how can I? Change I'll try later into I'll start now. Swap I'm not ready for I'm willing to begin. Words aren't just sounds, they are seeds. Speak defeat and you plant despair. Speak action and you harvest progress. Above all, refuse to let comfort be your guide. Comfort seeks the easiest path. Growth demands resistance. Just as muscles strengthen under tension, so does character. Every act of discipline breaks excuses' grip. Every moment of courage quiets fear's voice. One man, born into slavery and raised in the aftermath of war, had every reason to give in to circumstance. Denied education, stripped of privilege, living in obscurity, Yet he refused to be defined by excuses. He walked miles just to attend school. He rose before dawn to study. He transformed nature into his laboratory, discovering the potential of peanuts, sweet potatoes, and other crops to revolutionize Southern agriculture. He didn't wait for the world to offer him opportunities. He created them, not because he had privilege, but because he had determination. He refused to let the phrase, "I can't," write his story. Instead, he wrote a new one, word by word, action by action, choice by choice. That same pen is in your hand today. You may not control the circumstances life gave you, nor the chapter where you began, but you are in charge of what comes next. You're not too late, too broken, or too far behind. Begin now, start where you are, but start without excuses. Let your progress outshine your past. Let your faith overpower your fear. Excuses may explain where you stand, but only effort will carry you where you're meant to go. Write your next chapter in courage, not comfort. Faith is the weapon that breaks cycles. Cycles that keep you small don't break by chance, they break by belief. Chains don't fall because time passes, they fall because someone refuses to accept them as permanent. It is not comfort but conviction, deep, daring, relentless faith that shatters limitations. Faith isn't a soft whisper in a quiet room. It's a fierce refusal to accept what is in pursuit of what could be. Faith is described clearly. It is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen. Not theory, not mere hope, but evidence, a firm, unshakable foundation built on what cannot be seen. The truth is, you're not stuck due to what you lack. You're stuck because you don't believe what you already have is enough. It's not the absence of resources, but the absence of resolve that keeps you circling the same mountain. Faith is not passive or waiting with fingers crossed. It is movement without guarantees. It is action in the absence of evidence, stepping forward into the unknown, trusting your next step will find solid ground. Faith is not a feeling. It is a choice. You don't need clarity to begin. You need courage. Start where you are with what you have. Speak with intention. Act with what you can. Believe your words carry weight, your effort matters, and your persistence will yield results. Every seed sown in faith pushes back against a story that says you were meant to stay small. Consider a legendary athlete born into poverty at a time when people like him were denied dreams, much less success. Orphaned young, marginalized and mocked, he had every reason to give up. What he lacked in advantage, he made up for in belief. At the 1912 Olympics, his shoes were stolen just before competing. With nothing else, he found two mismatched shoes. One too big, one too small. He stuffed a sock into the larger shoe, laced both up, and won gold. He didn't wait for perfect conditions. He acted despite them. He didn't hope for rescue. He rose and ran. In doing so, he broke more than records. He shattered every expectation placed upon him. His cycle of limitation was broken, not by opportunity, but by faith-driven action. That same power lives in you. You may lack the best tools or a perfect start, but you have something stronger than certainty. You have belief, the ability to see beyond your present, to speak against your past, and to move forward without a clear map. Trust that vision to guide you. Faith doesn't wait. Faith moves, it stretches, it speaks, it acts. The cycle of limitation holds only until faith breaks it apart. With bold decisions, you can change your life. Begin by changing your assumptions. Stop seeking guarantees and start acting on belief. Speak as if the future is listening. Move as if destiny is watching. Live as though your very next decision will be the one that shifts everything. Inside you is a place that already knows this truth. You were not made to live confined. You were made to break cycles, rewrite the story, and create a different ending. But the pen is given only to those brave enough to take it. So stand, decide, believe, not when the stars align, not when the path is clear, not when the world agrees, but now, because every cycle ends the moment faith begins. Your environment reflects what you allow. Your surroundings aren't mere backgrounds, they are mirrors. They reveal what you tolerate, what you value, and ultimately what you expect from yourself and the world around you. The state of your room often reflects the state of your mind. A cluttered desk can mirror a cluttered mind. A chaotic schedule speaks to unclear priorities and draining energy. Friendships are not isolated annoyances. They are energy sources that either fuel or stunt your growth. A sacred text warns, "Blessed is the person who does not walk in the counsel of the ungodly." This is not only a caution against wrongdoing, but a warning about influence. Your counsel is your company. Your company becomes your climate, and your climate shapes your character. No seed grows in poor soil, and no soul rises in a harmful setting. Wanting growth is not enough. Many desire change, but desire without design leads to disappointment. If you want to grow, you must place yourself in an environment where growth is not just possible, but likely. This often means pruning, cutting ties, and rearranging your surroundings. Start by taking stock. Who in your life inspires you to rise higher? Who encourages excuses and comfort? If the people around you normalize mediocrity, soon your standards will slip to match theirs. If your conversations are filled with gossip, complaints, and distractions, don't be surprised when clarity escapes you. Environment is not only physical, it is relational and mental. What ideas are you exposing yourself to? What content do you consume when you're tired or overwhelmed? Your habits and surroundings forecast your future long before your results do. Rearrange your schedule. Make deliberate space for solitude. Stillness isn't wasted time. It's when wisdom speaks most clearly. Create room for reading, reflection, and conversations that challenge you instead of sedating you. Design your day like an architect, not a victim of circumstance. Your calendar is your building site. Find people who live on the frequency you desire, those who are not impressed by your potential but committed to your progress, those who challenge complacency rather than congratulate it. The company you keep will either accelerate your growth or anchor you to your old self. One historical figure understood this deeply. Born into poverty in a small Scottish town, he inherited no wealth but gained access to a powerful mindset. He surrounded himself with books, mentors, and visionaries. Even when money was scarce, he invested in his environment. He refused to let his origins dictate his surroundings. He curated them. He knew that steel isn't the only thing forged under pressure. Character is too. He filled his life with inputs that elevated rather than diluted him. Over time, this carefully cultivated soil produced extraordinary results, not just in wealth, but in legacy. You may not control where you began, but you are fully responsible for where you build. If your current environment whispers excuses, change it until it shouts purpose. If your friendships drain more than develop you, it's time to edit your circle. This is not harshness, it is clarity. The environment you create becomes your echo. Speak purpose and focus into it, and it will return productivity. Fill it with order, and it will reflect peace. Surround yourself with visionaries, and it will mirror growth. Change your surroundings, and soon you'll hear a new set of instructions guiding your life. Take ownership. Redesign your landscape, because the greatest transformation begins not in ambition, but in arrangement. When your environment aligns with your elevation, what once seemed impossible starts to feel inevitable. Discipline is the door you must walk through every day. Discipline is not punishment, it's preparation. It's not a heavy hand of restriction, but a guiding force of refinement. Discipline takes raw, unshaped desire and sharpens it enough to pierce through resistance. It is the bridge between who you are and who you were meant to become. A timeless proverb captures this truth. The soul of the sluggard desires and gets nothing, but the soul of the diligent is richly supplied. Wanting alone is never enough. Dreams without discipline are illusions. Desire without diligence leads to disappointment. You must not only want, you must act, and more importantly, act consistently. Discipline is the great divider. It separates amateurs from artisans, dabblers from masters, the inspired from the accomplished. It is the key factor that turns potential into performance. Many desire change and imagine success, but only those with discipline are willing to pay the price in effort, time, and sacrifice. To build discipline, good intentions aren't enough. You need anchors, non-negotiable habits that structure your days. Anchors don't drift. They keep you steady through storms. Set your wake time. Block daily hours for reading. Track your finances with precision. Journal your gratitude each night. These aren't burdens. They are tools. When repeated consistently, they build a fortress of focus around your life. Discipline's goal isn't perfection, it's alignment. It's about crafting a life that supports your highest values. Waking with intent, acting with purpose, and ending your day with reflection. Discipline turns your time into a servant of your goals, not a thief of your potential. One man, born into modest circumstances with little formal education, had every excuse to remain ordinary. Yet through relentless discipline, he taught himself logistics, finance, economics, and management. He read voraciously, studied relentlessly, and executed strategically. He didn't inherit expertise. He earned it brick by brick, habit by habit, day by day. His empire wasn't built by luck. It was forged through decades of focus. Discipline handed him the keys, not overnight, but through many nights of quiet commitment. What can discipline give you? Most wait for motivation, like a sudden windfall, but discipline doesn't wait to feel right. It does what's right. Discipline shows up when it's difficult. It writes the page when the mind is blank. It trains when the body aches. It saves when spending feels good, because discipline knows progress is more valuable than impulse thrills. Greatness isn't something you drift into. You must drive toward it. And your fuel is daily discipline. So ask yourself, what non-negotiables govern your day? What practices protect your focus? What habits are shaping your future? You don't need more inspiration, you need more repetition. The life you want isn't built through grand gestures. It's formed in small, quiet commitments that go unnoticed now, but will be felt by everyone when you succeed. Let discipline be your preparation. Let it refine you. Allow it to shape your hours, your habits, and your horizons. One day, you'll realize the price was worth it, because discipline never takes more than it gives. There is no destiny without decision. Everything in your life begins with a choice. Your habits, your mindset, your future, even your legacy, all start the moment you decide. Not when you hope, not when you wish, but when you choose. Potential, no matter how vast, remains dormant until activated by choice. It won't move until you command it. A timeless truth declares, I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore, choose life. Choice is not a suggestion, it is a command, a sacred invitation to take part in your own becoming. You were not placed here to drift. You were given a mind to think, a will to choose, and a soul to guide. Most people don't fail due to lack of talent. They fail because they delay decisions. They wait for signs, approval, or certainty wrapped in clarity. But life rarely offers perfect conditions, and destiny does not knock twice. The path may not always be smooth, but it is always available. You must decide and then become the living proof of that choice. Every major transformation starts with a decision. A moment when someone declares that enough is enough, that average is no longer acceptable, and that fear will be the last voice they hear. When you decide, you draw a boundary. You separate your past from your future. You say, this is who I was, but this is who I will become. Start by choosing your values. Values anchor your actions when emotions shift. Choose your mentors. Who you learn from shapes what you learn. Choose your direction. And just as importantly, remove distractions. Clarity is not having endless options. It is knowing what to eliminate. One figure understood this deeply. During the chaos of the American Civil War, she didn't wait for permission or a clear purpose. She stepped into the chaos, delivering supplies, caring for wounded soldiers, and later founding the American Red Cross. She carried conviction, not permission. Through decision and dedication, she built something that saved millions. Her story teaches us, the world doesn't hand you a legacy. You claim it through bold, consistent choices aligned with your values. She saw a need and answered it with authority, not hesitation. You carry that same authority. It is not exclusive, it is divine. You were made in the image of a creator who chose to create, and that creative power lives within you. Every hesitation surrenders that authority. Every delay diminishes your momentum. This moment matters because it is a door. Every great journey begins with a single act of choice that you walk through or wait for a guarantee life never promises. Decide. Decide to believe you are more than your past. Decide to train your mind. Decide to lead your emotions instead of being led by them. Decide to speak life into your future, even when your present speaks otherwise. Decisions define direction, and direction shapes destiny. You don't need more time, You need more resolve. You don't need perfect conditions. You need the decision to move forward anyway. Everything you want lies downstream from a decision you've been avoiding. Choose boldly. Choose now. Choose life. Because your destiny isn't coming someday. It's been waiting all along. The power to transform your life exists within you right now. Not tomorrow, not when conditions improve, but now. This very moment contains the seed of everything you wish to become. Water it with decisive action. Nurture it with unwavering persistence. Watch it grow into a life others call extraordinary, but you'll recognize as the natural expression of your true potential. The only way to change your life is to force yourself to break the patterns that keep you stuck. It won't be easy, and comfort will resist every step, but that resistance is where true growth begins. When you choose to disrupt the cycle, you open the door to new habits, new confidence, and a future you control. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Create it by deciding today to break free from the patterns that no longer serve you. Your transformation starts now, and everything changes the moment you take that first deliberate step.